Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Darshitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Founders of religions did not come in the world to create conflict. They came to create harmony. They came to unite the different paths. Jesus Christ did not come to create conflict. The Buddha did not come to create conflict. The founders of yoga did not come to create conflict. These founders had giant consciousness, vast consciousness. Consciousness of the whole universe and beyond was their consciousness. And everything that happens in that universe is part of their understanding. Therefore, all the paths are their paths. They taught us how to combine the paths. They knew what the previous Buddhas, prophets, masters, rishis have taught. They did not contradict that teaching. As I said yesterday, they inquired inside themselves, verified the ancient, perennial, eternal truths. And those truths became their own personal experience. We study and practice from the experience of our founders. They passed on the teaching from their own personal realization. And they always taught their disciples and followers not to come into conflict. In the Tipitakas, the three baskets of Buddhist teaching, there is one Brahmachala Sutta. Brahmachala Sutta, in which the Buddha has listed 63 topics of conflict in detail, because he knew the different views that people hold. And in that teaching in Brahmachala Sutta, he taught his disciples never to discuss those 63 topics of conflict. We have conflicts because our minds are small. When our minds begin to expand into Christ consciousness and Buddha consciousness, then those points and views that seemed to be in contradiction become part of our understanding. That is why the Buddha taught many of his disciples in many different ways. All of these paths he called Majjhima Patipada. Majjhima Patipada, the middle path. When we teach Kundalini Yoga, we teach also the middle path, the central channel, the central nadi, about which also the Buddha has said some things in his secret teachings. So this question of where yoga fits in the Thai tradition is not a question. It is a very ancient tradition of Thailand, taught by the rishis, whom we all pay respect. In Wat Po, in the temple of the reclining Buddha, there were 84 sculptures of yogasanas. There are about 30 there now. And they said they are sculptures of the rishis. When I came to Bangkok for the first time, many years ago, I was alone. And I stayed in a hotel, and I looked at the literature they have for the tourists. The literature for the tourists. And it said that the Thai alphabet, the forms of Thai alphabet, are based on yogasanas. So there is no question of where yoga fits in the Thai tradition. The yoga will enrich the Thai tradition as it has enriched for 2000 years. As I said, Jesus Christ and the Buddha did not contradict the teachings from before. Many disciples asked Jesus Christ, "Are you the prophet Isaiah?" Because he was supporting their work. But explaining it in the light of his own divine experience. You may not know that many of the sentences in the Sermon on the Mount in the Bible are found in the Sanskrit scripture called the Mahabharata. Atmanah pratikulani paresham na samacharet. We read in the Mahabharata and we read in the teachings of Jesus, do not do unto others that you do not wish them to do to you. Exactly the same sentence. Same thing with the teachings of the Buddha, who when he spoke of the mind Durangamam ekacharam, he said. In our ashram in Rishikesh in India, every night we recite a hymn to the mind. And there we recite Durangamam Jyotisham Jyotirekam. This mind travels very far. This was a recitation, Durangamam, in the Vedas. And the Buddha said about the mind, Durangamam, this mind travels very far. Those who limit themselves to only one religion will not know of the unity and harmony of all these religions. The Buddha said, Akodhena chine kodham, asadhum sadhuna chine. Conquer anger with non-anger, conquer evil with the good. Now listen to the Pali verse of the Buddha and then listen to the Sanskrit verse from the Mahabharata. In Pali, Buddha's teaching, Akodhena jine kodham. In Sanskrit and Mahabharata, Akrodhena jayet krodham. Then the next part of the verse from the Buddha, Asadhum sadhuna jine. And in the Mahabharata in Sanskrit, Asadhum sadhuna jayet. Same words, slight difference of language. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, Uppani heva pachinantam vyasattamanasam naram suttam gamam mahokova machu adaya gacchati. Do you people listen to Pali verses or you have forgotten here? Now for the last 50 years I have thrown my mind behind, and that is the secret of my virtue. And if I am true to this secret, let by the power of that, the poison of this child that the snake has bitten go away and the child get up from the dead. By that power, the child rose up as though he was never bitten. The Buddha says, Esa me upekha paramiti. This is my upeksha paramita. In the text called Chariya Pitaka, he gives examples from his past lives of where and where he mastered the 10 paramitas, 10 perfections. And the Brahma Viharas, you know the word Brahma Vihara? The 4 paths. Is it a path from Patanjali or is it a path from the Buddha? Now I will quote to you the sutra from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha Dukkha Punya, Punya Vishayanam, Bhavanatash, Chitta Prasadanam. That the mind is made pleasant and clear. Chitta Prasadana. Mind is made pleasant and clear by the practice of Maitri, infinite love, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, joyfulness, Upeksha in Sanskrit, Upekha in Pali, neutrality. Okay? The Buddhists must have taken it from Patanjali. Patanjali took it from the Buddha. What is this? It is the same truth that comes from spiritual realization. Before the Buddha decided to sit under the Bodhi tree, one after the other he went to 6 teachers. His last teacher was someone named Arada Kalama. Arada Kalama. Arada Kalama. He was a master of Sankhya philosophy, Sankhya Yoga. Now what is the Aryo Satcho? The four parts of the Noble Truth. Dukkha, Dukkha Samudaya, Dukkha Hetu, Dukkhahana, Dukkhahana Upaya. In Patanjali we call it like that. Okay? Dukkha, pain. Dukkha Hetu, the cause of that pain. What is that cause of pain? What is the cause of pain? Avijja or avidya. Avijja Pali, avidya Sanskrit. Okay? Avidya. Okay? Dukkhahana, removal of that pain. And Dukkhahana Upaya, the method for removing the pain. Method for removing our ignorance, our avijja, our avidya. There are, out of nearly 200 sutras of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, 27 sutras are on this subject. And the Buddha learned this from Arada Kalama, but he was not willing to accept what somebody else was saying. Sometimes when I give my lectures, I tell people, if you want to be my student, don't believe a single word of what I say. No. Practice and experience. Find out inside if it is true. That is the path of the Buddha. So he listened to the teaching of Arada Kalama about the 4 truths, but then he sat to experience. Right? And then from that experience he found it. Then he explained it in his own words, in the kind of language that people were speaking. Today we are speaking in English. I wish I could speak Thai. Half the words in Thai are from Sanskrit and Pali. But in this life now, there is no time. I'm 79 years old. And I have other things to do. If I had a few more years, I would learn Thai and I would speak to you in that language. Because what we teach in translation can never have the same meaning. No? So the Buddha realized for himself the truth of what the master of Sankhya Yoga, Arada Kalama, had told him. And that became the Buddha's teaching. Now it is not the teaching of Arada Kalama, it is Buddha's teaching. But it is also there in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. People are asking, your yoga meditation, are you teaching the path of samatha or are you teaching the path of panya? Now ask the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, are you teaching the path of samatha or are you teaching the path of panya? Which one do you think he is teaching? The two are combined. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. The 3 go together. Sila, Sanskrit, Shila, conduct, your behavior. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, that teaching is in the form of 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. What is the first yama in Patanjali's yoga system? Ahimsa. Right? non-violence, not hurting,
ไม่ทำให้
not
ผู้อื่น
causing pain. And when you go to the Buddhist temple, what do you recite? Panipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyani Adinnadana Veramani and so on. Huh? Very first statement is statement of Ahimsa.
ปานาติปาตาก็คือ
Is it yoga teaching? Is it Buddha teaching? So have no fear in your mind. Okay? Same thing with samadhi and panya, samatha and panya. Okay? In the Aryo Attangiko Satcho, you know the Aryo Attangiko Satcho? Arya Ashtangika Satya, the eightfold noble path. The last two are Samma Sati and Samma Samadhi. Right mindfulness and right meditation. And in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is teaching Arjuna, Kamat krodho bhijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhranshad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. I will not translate the whole long passage. When your mind is confused, your mindfulness is lost. Smriti. That is why in the Yoga Sutras we are taught Smrityupasthana. What is the Sanskrit word? Smrityupasthana. Smrityupasthana. What is the Pali word? Satipatthana. Okay? So, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna, Nashto moha smritir labdha tvat-prasadan maya achyuta. By your grace, my Lord, my confusion is gone and I have regained my mindfulness. That is Samma Sati, the seventh of the eightfold path. And then comes Samma Samadhi, the eighth one.
ข้อที่
Correct proper meditation. Yesterday I quoted to you Natti Jhanam Apanyasa Panya Natti Achayata Yammi Jhanan Chapanya Cha Save Nibbana Santike, says the Buddha. Natti Jhanam Apanyasa. One who has no panya cannot have meditation. Okay? Panya Natti Achanata. Achayata. Panya Natti Achayata. And there can be no panya, no wisdom with someone who is not meditating. Very clear. Yamhem jhanam cha panya cha. The one who in whom meditation and panya, meditation and wisdom are combined, he is very close to Nibbana. So it is clear that there is no conflict, that the two have to go together. In the Sanyutta Nikaya section
ในสังยุตนิกาย
of the Tipitakas, are you familiar with the word Tipitaka?
พระไตรปิฎกที่เราคุ้นเคยเนาะ
You know the word? Okay. Many people don't. In India, many people don't know the names of their scriptures now. In the Samyutta Nikaya section of the Pitaka, there is a short story. Okay. Devaputta, a young god, Rattikale, in the middle of the night, came to the Buddha. Because I'll tell you a secret. With the yogis, all good things happen at night. When the whole world is sleeping, they are awake. Even the Hazrat Muhammad, the founder of Islam, he said, all night Allah feeds me. He gives me a feast. And I can give you more examples. Okay? So in the night, a Devaputta, a young god, young Deva,
เทพหนุ่มพรหมเลย
came to the Buddha. And Buddha looked at him and said, yes, what do you want? Because these Devas, they all attend upon the enlightened ones. They come to ask him questions.
แล้วก็มาถาม
So the Devaputta said, Ante jata, bahi jata, jataye jatita paja. Ante jata, bahi jata, jataye jatita paja. Tam tam gotam puchhami. Tam tam gotam puchhami. Ko imam vijataye jatam. He says, tired of this world. A net full of knots
นะครับ
in which everybody is caught. So the word used there is jata, a complex net full of knots in which everybody is caught. Say ante jata, jata inside, vahi jata, jata outside. Jata inside, jata outside. Jata inside, jata outside.
What is the meaning of
That's what I said. Jata is
จะทานั่นข้างนอก
the
ทานั่นข้างใน
net, the net full of knots in which everybody is caught. The word for that is jata. So the Devaputta says, inside jata, outside jata. You go inside yourself, is full of nets, a net full of all kind of knots. Bahi jata, look outside the world, in the world, is world full of, is a world that is a net full of all kind of knots. Jataya jatita paja, every being is caught in this net
สัตว์ทั้งหลาย
full of knots.
ล้วนนะฮะ
So Gautama, I'm asking you, who is it who can master this complex net full of knots? Who can free himself from being caught in this net? And the Buddha replied, time is short now. The Buddha replied, Sile patithaya naro sapanyam chittam cha panyam cha bhavayam Sile patithaya naro sapanyam chittam cha panyam cha bhavayam Tapako nipako bhikkhu so imam vijataye jatam. Mastering the practice of sila, right conduct, and chittam cha panyam cha, mastering the concentrations of the mind, and mastering panya, wisdom, at the same time, not separate. Full of effort and concentration, a wise monk can free himself from this complex net that is full of knots. So chittam cha panyam cha, concentration and wisdom.
สมาธิแล้วก็ปัญญา
So in the Bhagavad Gita, one who has mastered this concentration and this wisdom is called Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna.
แต่ด้วยคำ
A person whose prajna, whose prajna, whose wisdom is stabilized. Okay. In the Holy Bible, there are 5 books that are called books of wisdom. You should read those.
เราน่าจะลองไปอ่านศึกษา
Most people, though most Christians only sing the few psalms from the Psalms of David,
นะ
but they do not read the book of Job,
แต่
book of Ecclesiasticus, and so on. I will not go into those now. So, concentration and wisdom and conduct all together. I have a lot more to say, but this year is my last year for traveling and teaching. From next year I go to 5 or to 7 years of silence.
ท่านตั้ง
These
ใจจะ
advanced
เที่ยว
teachers will teach you and you will come to me for sitting in silence.
ท่านต่อไปนั่งเขาเรียกพัฒนา
So no more lectures.
เป็นบรรยายละ
But I have recorded 5,000 hours of lectures.
5,000
You
ชั่วโม
can
ง
use those.
นะเราก็เอาคำบรรยายเหล่านี้เนี่ยมา
I
ศึกษา
have 45,000 pages of transcripts of lectures waiting to be published. I have been traveling and teaching for the last 65 years. Okay? The Buddha was 80 years old. Okay? And he said, my body is now weak
เราเนี่ย
and my back is bending
หลังงง
and I want to put my foot on one side, my foot goes the other side. And 4 years ago when I was 75, that was happening with me. So I said, I'm 4 years ahead of the Buddha.
ท่านเนี่ยนะสี่
It happened to him at the age of 80, it is happening to me at the age of 75.
ท่านนะนำหน้าท่าน4 ปี
Okay? So, for the last 65 years, I have been traveling and teaching non-stop. It is time to go inside.
นะตนเอง
But I'll tell you one thing,
นะแต่ก็จะ
the teaching in silence is far greater than teaching in words. Gather much good karma and keep it secret.
ไปกัน
And
ตน
practice your meditation. And practice your path of wisdom at the same time.
นะ
Because as I have shown you from the quotations from the Tipitakas, one without the other is not complete.
ไม่สม
I
บูรณ์
want you to have a complete path. Eyes closed. Relax your forehead. Feel the breath in the nostrils. No other awareness but the awareness of how your breath is flowing. If you have a personal mantra, use that mantra with your breath. If you believe in God, use the name of God in your language, or use the word Buddha, breathing out, and Buddha, breathing in. No break between the breaths. No break in the thought of Buddha or the divine name. Without breaking this awareness, gently open your eyes. Let the flow continue even with your eyes open. Be in peace.
มีความสงบ
Always go into this peace many times in the day.
เรา
May God bless you.
ในชีวิตประจำวัน
May all the Buddhas bless you.
ขอให้พระพุทธองค์พระเจ้าคุ้มครองพวกเรา
May all the rishis bless you.
ในสิ่งต่างๆคุ้มครองพวกเรา
May my Guru and all the Gurus bless you.